People ask me all the time, why in the world would you want to run 100 miles? And I know to most people, it makes absolutely no sense. But hopefully I can explain some of that process to you and the motivation why anybody would want to run that far. I'm here at Big Hill Pond State Park, about to do a run with my buddy Manny. I think I see him rolling up right now. Anyway, training for a race called Bighorn 100 in June. It is currently April the 30th. So we're hopefully gonna get in about 24 miles or so. But here comes the big dog in his big manly truck. The best explanation for why I would run 100 miles is I learn a lot about myself. There's a saying that running 100 miles is like going through life in a single day. And that's pretty true. But I've learned a lot from running a really long way. One of the most important lessons that I have learned in running 100-mile races is the importance of taking things one step at a time, going one aid station at a time. If you're not familiar with these races, you run in the woods and you pop out of the woods every 5 to 7 miles, and there's this glorious banquet of junk food and fruits and drinks and all kinds of crazy things. And these are called aid stations. It's really hard to wrap your mind around 100 miles when you're in the process of doing it. And in the beginning, you're excited, it's fun, you're hanging out with people, but somewhere around 30 miles, 50 miles, for me, the hardest mental point for a long time was getting around the 70-mile mark in a 100-mile race, because at that point, I can barely walk, and then I think I've still got 30 miles left to go. I've still got a 50K, which is still considered an ultramarathon. It's further than a marathon. It's really easy to let your mind get the best of you, to let the negative thinking settle in, like I'm gonna be out here for so long, I'm probably not gonna be able to make it anyway. It's still further than a marathon and I'm hurting so badly, and there's just no way. I can't fathom going 30 more miles. And that is a really hard mindset to break out of once you get in that place. So what do you do with that? Well, you don't worry about the finish line. You can't. It's too far away usually. I don't start thinking about the finish line until I've gotten to about 80, 85 miles at least. Until then, I'm just one step at a time, or even one aid station at a time, I think is the best way to break it down. So, I'm running through the woods and I'm thinking, I can't fathom making it to the finish line right now. Well, I can make it to the next aid station. It may not be pretty, but I can make it 5 more miles. So I'm not gonna quit. I'm just gonna stay in the race right now. I'll go 5 more miles. So every aid station I get to, I think, oh, it's so far away to get to the finish line. Nope. That may be too much to think about right now, but I can go 1 more aid station. I can make it 5 more miles. I can make it 7 more miles. I can make it 3 more miles. Or maybe even I don't know if I can make it to the aid station, but right now I just need to get my stuff together and I need to get back on the trail and just don't drop out right now. And that mindset has helped me enormously in life. There have been so many challenges or situations that I've gone into that I can talk about in which I felt very overwhelmed by the length of it or the heaviness of it or whatever it is, and I can't let myself think about the finish line. I have to break it down into sections. So what is your 100-mile race? What's the race you're trying to stay in? I know a lot of people who end up watching this, they probably won't run 100 miles, but in some form or another, we all run 100 miles, whether we choose to or not. And I think the goal is that we don't drop out of the race. In 100-mile races, there's a thing called DNF, didn't finish. some situations, that's hopefully just not an option, and I don't want you to give up. So if the goal seems too far in whatever race you're in right now, and I'm not talking about a race now, I'm talking about life, whatever you're working towards, whatever challenge you're facing, if the finish line seems too far away and you feel like you can't make it, I promise you, you can do more than you think you can. You've got more in the tank than you realize. But don't worry about the end goal right now. Just focus on making it to the next aid station. What is your next checkpoint? What's the next step? Sometimes you don't feel like you can run. Sometimes you just need to slow down and walk. And that's okay, as long as you're moving forward. Don't focus on the end goal too much. You'll get there when it's time, but right now the goal is to just keep moving forward. Stay in the race. What is your next step? What's your next checkpoint? Can you get there? I think you can.